a significant number of young people remain unemployed. The Presidential Youth Employment Intervention has been implemented to address this issue. For more on the situation and how things can be turned around, I'm joined by the National Youth Development Agency CEO, Wassim Carim. Wassim, very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us on Newzroom Afrika. South Africa faces a chronic youth unemployment challenge with more than 65% of young people who enter the labour market really being left on the outskirts. They can't access employment, training or education. Serious problem. And you have a solution.
Yeah, good morning, Mpho. Good morning to your viewers as well. And thanks very much for having us. So I think today is a really important moment and a historic moment in our fight against the youth unemployment crisis in South Africa. The National Youth Development Agency, working together with the Presidency and the Jobs Fund, have opened a call for proposals to work with implementing agents to intake into South Africa 35,000 young people for a National Youth Service program. Now, National Youth Service has existed as part of the South African landscape since the late 1990s. But really at its core, what youth service is and has been used for around the world is an opportunity for young people to contribute towards social cohesion, nation building, to learn skills while doing so, but also to offer meaningful service to their communities and be able to earn wages and create a pathway for themselves into future economic activity. The National Youth Service Program doesn't exist in isolation. It forms part of the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention, which President Ramaphosa announced even before COVID-19, and post-COVID-19 has become part of the bigger presidential employment stimulus, which is aimed really at stimulating the economy and increasing the number of employed people in the country, particularly young people.
And what sort of criteria should those who would like to be a part of this meet?
Thanks. Yeah, I think that's an important question. So in the main, we're targeting not-for-profit organizations, so they have to have the requisite registrations as a not-for-profit, as well as being compliant with the Department of Social Development. They must be compliant with the National Treasury regulations as it relates to tax certificates and registration on central supply databases, but mainly either an implementing agent or a consortium of agents working together must show the ability to engage meaningfully 3,000 young people in community service activities and manage a project of this scale across multiple sectors of service and possibly across multiple geographies as well.
Let's talk a little bit about the image of the National Youth Development Agency over the years. It really has been marred with allegations of corruption and young people saying that they can't access much from the NYDA. And just looking back as early as July, 3 of the candidates which were recommended to serve on your board were flagged by the State Security Agency for obtaining negative security clearance reports. I mean, why should young people trust that this project will indeed reach them and benefit them?
Yeah, thanks, Mpho. So I think your question is largely divided into 2 parts. Yeah. So if we look at the history of the NYDA, I think nobody doubts that in the early formation years, the NYDA battled with an institutional start, particularly post the merger of Umsobomfu and the National Youth Commission. But if you look at the trajectory of the agency since 2014, 7 consecutive clean audit outcomes from the Auditor General, no irregular and fruitless and wasteful expenditure. The corruption allegations which you refer to, I mean, those date back 10 or 11 years ago. If you check the media recently, there is almost nothing of that sort, you know. When we speak about access and reach, the NYDA has expanded its service centers from 15 to 44, deepening its access into rural areas. We've transitioned into a digital environment. Young people can access the NYDA through the website, but also through the National Pathway Management Network, SA Youth, inclusively and for free. As the NYDA will be first to admit that our impact has been low, mainly because of the budgetary constraints that we faced. But what we've seen since 2019 is a real willingness from the apex of government to take the positive trajectory that the NYD has been on and to reinvest into the NYD. Secondly, this program is being delivered with the support of the Presidency and the Jobs Fund. The Jobs Fund is the fund manager, and over a long period of time as well has a track record of delivering exceptional performance, matched funding, more than 200,000 jobs created by the Jobs Fund, particularly young men and young women. If I answer your questions relating to the Board of Directors, I think we know that the board process is a process of Parliament and then of the Presidency. I think we know that the first board process was restarted by the National Assembly, and the second one has been approved by the National Assembly, clearing many of the checks and balances which I think you've referred to, including SSA reports. And I think you probably have seen some of the media around the board largely has been positive about the type of candidates that have been recommended to serve on the NYD board. So we feel confident, and we want young people to feel confident, that the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention is a new beginning and a new start for young people as it relates to youth development in South Africa.
Wassim, thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. Wassim Carim, CEO of the NYDA, speaking about the implementation of the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention as a measure to curb the high unemployment rate of young people.